Okay, so today we're doing chapter 10, day 3. Ready? All right, so yesterday we had one variable. We graphed it on a number line. Today we're going to graph equations with two variables. So if you see an x and a y, that's where you put it on a coordinate plane. Okay, an actual graph. So this is how we do this. We're going to graph the line as if it were written with an equal sign. So like using y equals mx plus b, or making an xy chart. Is this ringing a bell?
Yes.
So we're going to graph it using those rules. And then the only difference is this part next, the part where we have to look at the inequality symbol. So if it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, we use a solid line, sort of like the filled in circle on the number line, to show that those values are included. The way we show that on a graph is to make it a solid line. If those values are not included, if it's just less than or greater than, we use a dashed line. This is called the boundary line. So the boundary line, graphing the boundary line, is just like graphing a linear equation. You just have to decide if you're going to do a solid line or a dotted line, okay? Now, sort of like phase 2 to graphing these is you're going to pick a point that's not on the line. You're going to plug the point into the inequality. If the equation, or if the inequality that you end up with is true, you're going to shade in that region. If it's not true, you're going to shade the other side of the graph. So it sounds kind of tricky, but it's not too bad. Let's try one. So here's example 1. Oh, awesome. Thank you. I feel like it's my birthday. All right, so we're going to pick a point that's not on this line.
Wait, huh?
Pick a point that's not on this line. 2, 3. So right here, I'm down. That's the point 2, 3. 2, 3. You can pick any point not on the line. You're going to plug that point in. So I'm going to replace the y value with a 3, the x value with a 2. Do the math. Is 3 less than or equal to 6? Yeah, this is a true statement. If you get a true statement, color it in.
Like the whole side?
That whole side. If you would have gotten a false statement, you color in the other side. What are your questions?
For every number?
Yeah, so any point in this colored in region that you would pick would make the equation true. If you don't believe me, you can pick another point to test the theory. Let's pick 5, 0. So 0 is less than or equal to 3 times 5, which is 15. That's true. Good. I feel confident. You only have to check it once, but I checked it twice just so you believe me. What are your questions?
None.
All right. Here's another one.
So, do we have to choose a number on the opposite side this time?
Doesn't matter. You can pick any ordered pair you want.
3, 2.
3, 2. So I'm going to go right 3. I'm going to go up 2. So I'm going to take the y out. I'm going to put a 2 in. I'm going to take the x out. I'm going to put a 3 in. Is 2 greater than 7? No. So now I jump to the other side and I shade that side in. Now, if you're like, what is she talking about? I don't understand how this could possibly work. Pick a side over there. You can double check again. I'm going to pick -1, 1. That's this point right here. So I'm going to make the y a -1. Or so, not backwards. The The y is positive 1, the x is negative 1. So 1 is greater than, I got too many negatives. It's negative 2 after you multiply it. So 1 is greater than negative 1. That's true, and it's in the part of the graph that's shaded, so it makes sense. Did you have a question?
What's the difference between the solid line and the dotted line?
So the solid line is when it's an or equal to. So like if there's a solid line underneath, you make a solid line on your graph. If there's no line underneath, you make a dashed line. It's kind of like the open circle, closed circle, but it's an open line, closed line. Questions? Okay, now we're going to do the whole process. Okay, how would I graph this line? Yeah, so I'm going to do y equals mx plus b. What's my m? 1, and that's, I need a rise and I need a run, so I'm going to do 1 over 1. And then my b is negative 1. Okay, so I am going to go down 1. I'm going to put a point. From that point, I am going to rise 1. I'm going to run 1. I'm going to rise 1. I'm going to run 1. 3 points is great. 4 points is better. 5 points is better. I mean, the more points, the better. Okay, anyway, you guys see the gist of it, right? Now, is this going to be a solid line or a dashed line? Dashed, because it's not an or equal to. So, get something super straight like the side of your ID or a note card or a ruler or something. And you are going to just draw in a dashed line. And extend it all the way across the graph. Questions on how I got that? That's like phase 1 of the problem. Let's transition into phase 2. Phase 2 is where we pick a test point. Now, we couldn't use it on the last one, but my favorite test point is 0, 0 because it's the easiest. Now, if it's right on the line or very, very close to the line, I usually don't do it, which is what happened on the first 2 examples. Here, I think it's far enough away that I feel comfortable using it. So I'm going to make y0 and x0 and decide if it's true. Is 0 greater than negative 1? It sure is. Color that baby in. You know they sell like adult coloring books for stress relief?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saving you guys like $10.
Wait, is that the right way to color it?
That is the right way to color.
How do we, but then why do we do it,
You test a point and see if it's true.
Yeah, no, but I thought the true
Anything
one
on
was
that
this
side
one.
of that line. Like if the dot on the other side of the top, then you
I do like
Oh, the true one is whichever side has the point in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So here the point is above it. So yeah. Other questions?
Technically, you don't have to test it to get the right answer.
Ouch.
My finger hurts.
What?
I mean, what are you doing? Just 50-50 guess? Uh-oh. Okay, I have some thoughts.
Move the stuff over.
Minus 3 what? But plus what?
Okay, we can do your way. What do you want to do first?
Minus 3 what?
No, you want to get y by itself.
Minus 3 what? Oh.
So subtract 2x. So 3y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 12. Remember, we want to sneak it on in there. Then what? Divide by 3. Whoa. A little excited on that last 3. Okay, so y is less than or equal to negative 2/3 x plus 4. So where am I going to start? 1, 2, 3, 4 on the y-axis. From there, I'm going to do what? Rise negative 2. How do you rise a negative number? You go down 2, right 3. Put a point. Down 2, right 3. Put a point. Solid, dotted. Solid. Shade up, shade down. Test. What do you? Okay. Got a test. Let's do 0, 0. It's a nice, easy one. It's way far away from the line. I feel pretty confident about it. So 0 is less than or equal to 0 plus 4. Well, that's true. Questions? Next. Add the x. So negative 2y is greater than x plus 4. Divide by negative 2. Divide everything by negative 2. Y is less than. Perfect. If you're dividing by negative 2, you flip that sign. You flip it good. All right. Put a 1 here. So it's like negative 1/2. Or you could keep the negative with the 2. It doesn't really matter. And then positive 4 divided by negative 2 is a minus 2 on the end. Everybody with me? Check your signs. What's up?
So would 1/2 be the same thing as x over 2?
Yeah, I like to separate it though so that I can see the rise number and the run number. So the question was, could you write this term as x over negative 2? You definitely can, as long as you remember that there's a 1 here, so you have to rise 1 and run 2. If you want to pop the negative up top with the 1 and make the 2 positive, that's fine. As long as one of them is negative, you're good. All right, where do I start? You go down 2. My y-intercept is negative 2. From there, it depends where you put the negative sign. I put it with the 2, so I'm going to go up 1, left 2. If you put it negative 1 over positive 2, you'd be going down 1, right 2. See how that's the same line? Doesn't really matter. I'll just keep going in both directions. So when you have like 3 or so points, decide what your line's going to look like. Is this going to be solid or dashed? Dashed because it's not an equal to. And go to You're kind of crooked. What? I'm just kidding. I know it's crooked. You know, I kind of have a lean right now at this. Yes. Okay, so I don't care where you plug in the ordered pair, and it doesn't really matter. You could plug it into the original. You could plug it in to the final. You could plug it into both. Either way, you should be able to tell if the point is true or not true. So anyone have a preference of points or which inequality we're going to use? Yes, sir. 0, 0, and which one are you plugging it into?
The y and the x.
I mean, here or here?
That the y is less than.
Okay, so we're going to plug it in here. So 0 is less than 0 minus 2. Is that true?
No.
It is not true. So I'm going to go to the other side of my line and shade it. Now, if you are a doubting man or woman, pick something over on this side. So like 0, 1, 2, 0, 4. If you plug in 0 and 4,
0, -4.
yeah, 0, -4. I was like, why isn't this working? Yeah, 0, -4, you would end up with a statement that is true, okay? Oh yeah, sorry, I was yeah, because 0, and I got it. Yup, true. Took me a second. Questions? Okay. Hold on to your hats. This is your final example of the year, besides exam reviews and reviews, okay? This is it. I feel like we are having a pretty big occasion right here. So, now, what does a y equals line look like?
Wouldn't that be like a vertical along the y-axis?
Yeah, so remember, if it's a y equals, it crosses that axis at that number. So this is the y-axis. So we want to cross the y-axis at 2. That's how I remember it. That's the axis that it goes across. If you accidentally went straight up and down, you wouldn't be crossing the y-axis, you would be the y-axis. You don't want to be the y-axis. You want to go across the y-axis at 2. Okay? Or if you get stuck, you can make an XY chart. I'll just show you that real quick because some people, and I'm sure this will be on your final too, just make sure every y value is 2. So like 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. See how it's making that line? So that's a good way to do it too. All right, we can still do a test point. The only difference now is there's no place to plug in the x. So is 0 greater than 2?
No.
No. So we're going to shade up here.
I did it right.
Nice.
What are we learning about?
Okay, the final summary. Graphing, yeah. I'm going to put linear inequalities. That means our graph made a line. Okay, last regular homework assignment.